What if the only thing standing between you and the next level of your business was you? Today's guest knows exactly how to help you move out of your own way, and she has helped countless women go from overworked and overwhelmed to unstoppable. I'm chatting today with Claire Bannister, the unstoppable growth coach. She's an ex-corporate leader turned powerhouse business coach and has helped many ambitious females ditch the hustle, know their own worth, and scale their business with confidence, and how to stop playing small. So if you feel like you work every hour going and you are still not hitting your goals like you would want to, then this episode is for you, my friend. Let's dive in and learn how you can build an unstoppable mindset, create growth on your own terms, and banish that fear that's been keeping you stuck. I introduce you to Claire Bannister, the unstoppable growth coach. So hi Claire, thank you very much for joining us today. Let's start off with the first question. So you use the phrase unstoppable growth coach. So what does unstoppable mean to you personally?
For me, unstoppable is, as business owners, we quite often get derailed. So I always use it as an analogy of like a bowling ball down a bowling alley. And you know, when you have to it goes down the tunnel down the side. And for me, we get derailed by certain things, particularly as women. We've got lots of things, lots of juggling that we do. And you get derailed and you go off track and then all of a sudden you come back. And for me, unstoppable is how we keep you on that bowling alley so that you can hit your goals at the end. So that's how I describe unstoppable. No matter what curveballs come, you can still carry on with the trajectory that you want.
So with your strong corporate and your franchise backgrounds before moving into doing coaching, what was the turning point that made you shift from the traditional model of corporate to running your own business as a business coach?
Well, I've run my own business before that. I left my sort of first corporate job at Barclays, and we ended up, my husband and I run our own procurement company. So I kind of did that first. But this last sort of pivot, for want of a better word, was because I left my job that was going to be my dream job for the rest of my life, quite unexpectedly, through my own choice. And I sat there in the garden for a while thinking, well, what the hell do I do now? And I knew that I coached those franchise owners in that previous role. And there was nothing I liked more than those women coming to me and saying, this is my aim for the month, and then them hitting their aims or smashing their goals, and me feeling that I'd really help them. So for me, it was always going to be about helping women. I think when women get together, we have a undeniable, incredible energy. And so it was always women. But I knew that I wanted to formalise that coaching stuff as well as the business coaching stuff, which I knew I had. So I did some qualifications to be a mindset coach. So then knitting together is like the perfect combo, really. So that's, I don't know if I've answered your question actually, Kelly, but that's kind of why I decided that I decided then I'd never go back to corporate. I work with corporates, but I am very, very happy being my own boss. So, and this was the obvious choice, and it's clearly what the universe gave me because I absolutely love it. So.
And what would you say, when I deal a lot with the cleaning business owners, you get some that think, I don't know whether to move into a franchise or start my own. So as somebody who has both run their own business and been in a franchise, how would you advise somebody who was thinking of that? Like, what were the pros and cons, would you say, of the franchise to your own business?
Really good question. I realise now, having started my business on my own, that it's a lot harder on your own, right? With a franchise, certainly with the franchise I built, you get the system, you get the website, you get everything, you get almost like the messaging as well is all honed. Yes, you make it your own, but it's all kind of as a package. So whilst at the time I don't think it felt that easy to do that, in hindsight, a lot of it was done already, and all I had to do was go out and get the clients, right? And that was it. Whereas when I started this, I was like, right, okay, technology's changed a lot. So who knew what a lead magnet was? I didn't even know what that was. But now I've got to be the master of all of those things, as well as a coach and as well as doing the delivery. So I always say to my clients, we do our delivery, but we actually also have to market ourselves and be visible, and we also have to make the sales. We have to actually do the sales. And so juggling all of those at once is quite hard. It's what should I say? It's kind of like a steep learning curve, but once you nail each bit, you kind of get better at it as you go along. And for me, it's just about putting your big girl pants on and doing it, and not expecting everything to be perfect.
Yes.
My messaging, my Instagram, like everything about my business is fundamentally different than it was 2 years ago. And that's just because I've evolved as a business owner. But if I'd have worried about it being perfect, then I would never have got out and done anything.
Yeah.
So you have to just let it go.
And from going from the franchise to your own business, were the lessons that you were able to take, like to seeing a whole complete system at
Yes.
the end of a franchise, were you able to be like, I can pick that out and transfer that over here?
Yeah. So to give you an example, like our mailing system, at the moment I use MailerLite, but it has they use a different one. But the way that I marketed my House of Colour clients to my house, I'd organised them into sort of categories, and if I wanted to sell that product to that group of clients, and I never knew that before, that you could do that. So now when I set up my own coaching business, I was like, okay, so now I can tag different clients to organise them. My CRM system needs to do this because I know that really works. So and I'm not techie in any way, shape or form, but it helped me understand how I wanted to operate as a business owner and then get the systems around it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. So as you tend to work with mainly female business owners, and the mindset piece, I think, is often the missing link. What would you say are the top mindset shifts that would make you believe the difference between being busy and being able to scale profitably? What shifts would you need to make, do you think?
I used to be someone who loved being busy, right? I thought that was an indication of my productivity and my worth, right? And I'm proud to say that, because that's exactly what it was. And I say it's not the right way, but it was the way that I ran my business. And now I absolutely know that it's like, I talk about considered action. So being really focused on where you want to be and say that's a year's time, really focused on where you want to be. And you have to do all the action that goes towards that goal, and only those. Like I should be able to look at your diary, look at your to-do list and know what you're aiming for the end of the year, because it would only be focused on that stuff. And for me, that's productivity. That's turning the needle day by day, minute by minute towards that end goal, and not doing all the things and all the list and having a long to-do list. So I think that's the first thing. And for me, it's about prioritizing, the top 3 things you have to do every day. So I do them before I come down to the office. I'll do those 3 things. I know what they are because I've set them the night before, and I come down and do them before I go and make myself another coffee. Because then I know I've got the worst things or the busiest things out of the way, and so then I can trundle along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of eat the frog.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like I've always said that in my house, to the point where my kids say it as a mantra. We're going to eat the frog. Eat the frog.
It's also about, when you're growing, I know this was certainly me, when I was growing, and I started for 6 months, I didn't have a client. I did free clients. I did some mentorings for some young women, and I still mentor them, just to practice and hone my skills. But I went 6 months without a client. And it's very easy to get quite pushy and quite like, oh my God, I'm so desperate for a client. I need a client. I need to pay the bills. And that energy is all off. And from a mindset point, I work with a coach, and I had to let go of the outcome, and I had to get myself into a headspace where I entered every conversation about somebody potentially working with me from their perspective, not from I need you as my client or you need me. Like it was about what can I do to serve you, and if it's right, it will come, and letting go of that push energy. And that is when my business went like that, because I know there are plenty of clients for me all the time, and I do not need to push. They will come.
I think it's a hard thing to let go of. I sometimes think whether it's like a corporate conditioning,
Yeah.
like to work in certain ways. And I think like with the rise of like the corporate grinding bros.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Always be grinding, always be on. And like I've burnt myself out.
Oh,
Yeah. I work 7 days a week and silly hours a day, and wearing busyness like a badge of honor because like I'm just so busy. It must mean I'm so successful. No.
Yeah, I talk about, I used to have this rucksack of doom, right? And in my rucksack, there was like all of those beliefs I put in about what it took to be a proper businesswoman, like a proper career woman.
Yeah.
But like it was like, if you don't work like 14 hours a day, at least you are, like, you're just skiving. Like I used to actually say, I can't actually believe I used to say this, like stress is for wimps, just man up. Like when I think about that, bear in mind I burnt out in Barclays, like that is shocking. But I used to, like you said, wear it as a badge of honor, put it in your rucksack, carry it out. And it's not until you actually go, that is a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And ditch that masculine energy and stand
exactly, yeah.
step into that female energy, because we are more powerful. It's not a rant about women, but like, you know. And I remember being so super pleased when I was in Barclays, probably before you were born, but when they gave me like a BlackBerry and my boss called me in and goes like, we've got you one. And I was like, oh my God, I've made it.
I'm officially successful.
I'm so important that I have got a BlackBerry. And as he gave it to me, he went, and now I can get hold of you whenever I need to.
Yeah.
And I thought I was super pleased.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, that's ridiculous. Now I'd go, I'm sorry, me out of emphasis on. But, you know, that was the way it was then.
I think learning to get rid of the busyness, it's like a rite of passage for every business owner. When you get so far into running a business and you think, this surely isn't the way that it should be done.
No. And all every one of my clients comes to me and says, I want to grow, but I haven't got any more time. So I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to do it. How do I do it? Because I haven't got any more time. I work a weekend anyway, and I haven't got enough money to pay the staff by the end of the month. You know, and all of the problems are the same. You know, there are some common threads there. It's just doing the wrong things. You're doing the wrong things, and you haven't worked on your mindset to let go of the other stuff that is hanging you, is holding you down, and focusing on that considered action is the key to getting that growth without working, because you let go of loads of stuff you don't need to do.
And I think online as well, it's just so noisy and busy, isn't it? And there's like 40 bazillion experts that would have you believe, and you need to be doing this, and then you need to do this, and you need to do this. And I think if you listen to all of the people, you would never do anything. You would be so paralyzed with fear of doing things wrong. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. And we overconsume, don't we? I mean, it's great we've got access to lots of information, but, you know, I listen to loads of podcasts, like, you know, it's all of that stuff. And sometimes I just have to go, no, like, cut the noise, focus, keep your lane clear, you know, focus on what you're doing. And by all means, learn and constantly learn, but don't wait until that's all absorbed to get on and do stuff. You know, you have to kind of just do it, don't you?
So one of the things you talk about in your business is women to live the life that they deserve. So without being derailed by obstacles, what would you say are the most common obstacles that you see with your clients, and how do you help them get over those obstacles?
There's a couple actually, but it's organisation and doing the wrong things, like I said. So that's like, they think that they're busy and that's all they've got to do, and they don't take time out of their business to think about their business. So they're on that, I think you said hamster wheel, you know, you're on that wheel, just doing it because business is thriving, the money's coming in, and you don't want to take your foot off the pedal. But actually, how do you know what direction you've run in if you don't stick your head up and go, am I still on the right road?
Yeah.
And we change as women. Our lives, like we've both talked about our children being older. You know, our children are older now. Our life is different.
Yeah.
And if you keep going like this all the time, you need to take yourself out of the business and go, right, okay, well, that's been good. And reflect, because I think that's the thing. We're not very good at reflecting and patting ourselves on the back. So reflect, use that data. Right, where are we? Right, which direction do we want to go in now? Right, and what's the plan? How are we going to get there? And we just get on that hamster wheel, and the money comes, so you think you're doing the right things, but but it isn't necessarily that. When I say about the life you get, the life you want, all of a sudden you're working most of Saturday, half of Sunday. You, like I say, quite often not got enough money to pay the bills. You have no idea how much money is coming in your business. You're working with clients you don't really like. You know, all of these things because you've just kept going and saying yes. And the best thing you can do is do a CEO day a month and just take a day or 2 half days out of your business and restock, reevaluate where you are. Because when you let your brain settle and chill, your neuro pathways reconnect and your new ideas come. That's why all the good ideas come on the sunbed, right?
Yeah.
Because you've stopped and your brain has gone, okay, let me just drop that one in for you.
I think that's another hard lesson that I've learned, to rest. I think in the beginning I thought like my business would just fall apart if I took a day off. Everything would just fail because like it just won't run. And then like I've got a couple of autoimmune conditions and I've been like hospitalized and things like beyond my control, and the world never ended.
No. I left Barclays and Barclays is still going. I'm amazed. I thought I was holding Barclays up. It's ridiculous, really.
But it is, and I think we use that stick to beat ourselves with, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I've absolutely got to do this and I've got to do this. And you just think like, no, you do need that rest and recharge to be creative. Like you said, make sure that you are not spending all that energy on time on a path that you don't even want to be on.
I know, exactly. And I work with creative women, right? So then if they're so deep in that, they lose their, like you say, you lose that ability to be creative because you're so worn down with everything else. So to give you that space to think, oh, okay, what could I do next? What could my next service, what could my next product be? I mean, it's just, that's the time out for the joy. You get the joy back then.
I mean, yeah, I ended up hating my business at times because I just absolutely felt trapped by it.
And that's not fun. That is not the reason why you set your business up.
Yeah, no. And the most frustrating thing about it is you don't have anyone you can give 2 weeks notice to.
No.
So it's like, it's built, like I always say to people like that I work with, be careful of the cage that you build, because it might look very golden and it might look very pretty, but it's still a cage. And like you built it around yourself. So that's always something I'm really
That's a great point.
So because I work with a lot of service-based female business owners, one challenge that I see is the doing all the work themselves and still missing the mark. So from your perspective, what point is a business owner ready, do you think, to build a team and to stop doing it all themselves and being a martyr to their business?
Well, there's a couple of things in there. Firstly, you need to be able to afford it, right? And I think people start businesses thinking they need all the things. They need a website, they need a brand shoot, they need all of these things. And you have this long list, and it very quickly adds up to 20 grand, and you think that you need all that before you can even start talking, and you don't. So you start small and you just get out there and get doing the stuff, and then you can add in. And I had a list of things I wanted to do or outsource, and the first thing I did was get some systems in place because I wasn't good at that, and I need to redo that again because now that doesn't fit the purpose. So that's that one thing. But then it was a website, and then it was all of this stuff. But then I got to a point where I have now a lot of admin that I'm not good at doing. And so when do I get to a point where I actually outsource that to a VA? And the tipping point for me is when the cost of you doing it is more than the cost of you not doing it.
Yeah.
So because I could spend literally 2 hours doing a lead magnet. Probably, I'm being kind to myself, it's probably a day trying to draft that and automate it because that's not my bag. And yet my VA, who's amazing, could do it in an hour.
Yeah.
And the price of her versus my time, it's like your time. Like, what is your daily rate? I used to say this in House of Colour. What's your daily rate? Is it what you're getting out of bed for? And that's the same with the tasks that you need to do in your business. Am I the best person to go and approach loads of journalists and get PR things? I don't at the moment, but am I the best person to do it? No. So I'm better to pay somebody to do it. And that is it. It's the cost of you doing it. If that's too much, if that's more than you paying someone else to do it, then you need to just go and pay someone else to do it.
Yeah, and I think that can be a massive mindset shift within itself, can't it?
Oh yeah.
Realising like other people can do it and do it better than you do it, because
and it's freeing.
Skill base, yeah.
It's opening that, like you talk about that cage. It's almost opening the door a bit of the cage, because you can let other people in. I mean, I'm delegated all my life. I've worked with, I had loads of teams before, and I always talk about being output driven. So as long as you explain to the person that you are outsourcing to the output you want and the time frame, if it's time sensitive, they'll do it a different way than you. Doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
As long as the output's the same, right?
I say this about teams all the time. 3 + 1 is 4, so is 2 + 2, so is 1 + 1 + 1 + 1.
Yeah.
And as long as we get the result at the end,
Yeah,
exactly. Do it.
Exactly, but not everyone's good at that, and that is.
I never used to be. I used to go crazy. I used to be quite anal about, like, if people sent emails and there wasn't commas in the right place, or there wasn't full stops, and especially doing like people's invoices, like if there wasn't capital letters for the street name, things like that make me. And it was only when I was literally signed off and like couldn't work for a month, the girl who was my office manager, who I was always saying, you missed a comma, and that was it. She ran the business fine. The world didn't end. Everybody knew what she meant. She communicated what she needed to communicate. The money came in, and it was at that stage I thought, maybe I'm the crazy one.
Yeah.
And then, like, I took on my first manager after 7 years of running it all and doing it all. And I just immediately wanted to punch myself in the face for why I hadn't done it before, because it was just a revelation. And I've run teams in the past, but I don't, like, when I first stepped into running my own business, I just thought I had to do it all, learn it all, be responsible for it all. You just think, no, that's like hiding to nothing.
Yeah.
Make yourself really poorly, mentally and physically.
Yeah, and whatever your skill is, you are best to go do that.
Yeah.
And let the others support you in it, but you go do you and be you. Because quite often when we're women in business and we're running our own business, we are the business, right? So I always say I coach the woman in business, and I coach the business. But that woman in the business, she needs to go, people buy you.
Yeah.
People buy me. So am I best doing my invoicing, or am I best coaching people?
Yeah, and it's having that conviction to stick to that as well.
Yes.
So you've held a session on banish sales phobia. Sales fears and imposter syndrome are absolutely just so common, and I think especially with female business owners. What would you say would be a quick, actionable strategy that you'd recommend for someone who's terrified to ask for the sale, or is terrified to raise their prices and is actually running at a loss?
Right, so ask for the sale. Sales, we have this thing that, sales feels uncomfortable, right? We are in business to make money.
Yeah.
Okay? We're not a charity. And, Starbucks wouldn't be on the high street if they didn't sell a coffee, right? So, and I think it's about reframing it into the service. And as long as I think people make sales about them. They go, I don't like sales. I feel uncomfortable about sales. And actually, so imagine you're going to be my coaching client. Like, I'm making an offer to serve you because I know you could value my services, and I understand your needs, and I am offering my services to you as the client. I'm not selling to you. And I think as long as we make it about the client and about our service to them, you're buying, someone comes into Starbucks, they want a coffee. You go, oh no, you can't have a coffee, sorry, no. Yeah, we do them, but no, you can't have one. Like, I'm not serving them, am I? So you give a service, and I think that's the biggest shift, is about I'm helping you.
Yes.
If you do that in the right energy, it feels instantly less icky, than if you are pushing for a sale. If you treat it like a negotiation, like, oh, I'm going to win, like, it becomes off all the way. Yes, you get paid for that service or that product, obviously, but it's about us helping them, the client, to get the value that they need and to solve their problem, whatever their problem may be. So that's the first thing. And about underselling yourself, that's the biggest thing. Is people, I had a client this morning I was talking to, don't value themselves. So people firstly have, they don't understand what it costs for them to be in business.
Yes.
So a number of the clients that come to me are actually running at a loss. You know, they don't understand how much that service costs them before they've even done it.
Yes.
You know? So you need to understand that because you want to make a profit. And raising your prices, well, firstly, no one will bat an eyelid. Secondly, if you're not making enough money, then that service, that scale I've just talked about in the sales, tips in the client's direction, right? And then that energy you have about every time you sell that thing or give them that service, because you know you're selling it at a loss, the whole energy is wrong because you now begrudge it. Okay, and so being really clear on what makes up your cost is really important, but also really valuing your expertise, because all too often people buy me and my time, but it's not just my time. They're buying my experience.
Yeah.
They're buying my qualifications as well as my time. And you have to get really, really comfortable at what that is. Because if you start saying, if someone says, you'll end up dreading that I can picture the question when someone goes, and so tell me how much is it? And you go, well, it's, and that your whole physiology goes, and what that is saying to the client is, I'm not really worth this. I'm not really worth it, but it's this. Are you all right to pay that? Would you mind?
Yeah.
That whole, I'm hamming it up, but it is.
Yeah,
you've got to get really comfortable with your own value and worth, and that's the mindset stuff I do. Is being comfortable, and I know I'm worth every penny of what I charge. I am, and that's not me being arrogant. I know I am because my clients tell me so.
Yeah.
It's people don't make enough offers. And the last thing on sales is, sorry, you can tell it's a favourite subject, is if someone says no, they'll either say no thank you. They'll either say not for now or yes. So yes is great, fantastic. No for now is not a no. No for now is not quite now.
Yeah.
And that is still a possible yes.
Yeah. It's staying with the follow-up, isn't it?
Staying with the follow-up. Yeah.
Sales has just got just such a bad rap. Everyone thinks it's very hype sales people. You just think I don't know, maybe in the 80s or something.
Yeah, it's really old fashioned. I mean, I used to be a negotiator at Barclays, right? So I negotiated some very large deals in Barclays, and when I think back at that 80s energy, it was very much high five, we did him, I got one over on him. Oh, when you think, and now I work with an estate agents now, and they're female estate agents, and so that they've come into this real sales icky environment, this car salesman, sorry, anyone who's a car salesman or estate agent, but it's a very old fashioned way of doing business, and these women are changing the way that you do business. But negotiation is more about exactly the same. It's a sale, serving that client. Yes. Serving that client, getting paid appropriately for it, but serving that client. And that is, that's the key to it, right? It's about the value that you give.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from a place of service. I really like that. And I think that's a good way for people to think about it when they do go into the sale, because I think a lot of people just get into their own brains.
It's about you. It becomes about you.
And turn it into something which it's just a relationship. It's you with your product or service that you should be believing in, making a relationship, because it will make a difference to that person's life or whatever the service is.
Yeah, and also you have to have that connection, don't you? You have to have that, people don't wake up in the morning and go, I'd like a business coach. People buy me, people buy you. And, I've yet to, I don't think I ever will have somebody go, can you come and coach me? I've not spoke to you. I wouldn't buy a business coach like that. So it's about that connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think all too often people, I see it at networking, I don't know if you do, when people just ship on, go, hi, I'm a salesman, and would you like to buy my thing? No, thank you.
Yeah. I'm the same on websites. Like if I've just logged onto a website and a pop-up comes up in 5 seconds and you're just like, I tell you what, let me just read your page, see whether I get on with the vibe, and then if I do, then I'll sign up. But like, stop smacking me in the face like the second I've come onto your site.
I turn mine down a bit, like I don't want it all straight up. No.
And people that I work with, and I'm sure the same on your end, are scaling but feeling stuck within the other stuff, like the operations and the marketing and the cash flow and all of those type of things, and they feel far away from their why, or they've lost their why. How would you advise someone to be able to reconnect with their why and to align themselves again with what they're doing?
Well, firstly, I think our why changes. So going back to that CEO day and sticking your head above the business and going, right, okay, actually, am I still in the right direction? Does this still resonate with me? I think that is firstly the thing to do. Because as women, we change and grow and our lives change and grow. So our why becomes very different. But I think it's so easy to get bogged down with all of the stuff. And it can literally suck the joy out of everything. And as women, we are so much more effective when we flow with our circadian rhythm, and that we get it and it's purposeful for us. And I feel I'm very lucky because I'm doing a job where I'm fully fulfilled. And everyone deserves that. But if you're feeling like that, then you need to go back to, what do I love most? What do I not like most? What made me happy today? And that will help you find, where did I have my little glimmer of joy? Because that's the nugget, that's where it is. And then let's have more of them. How do I create more of them? And for me, it might be, if I had a day stuck on Zoom calls all day and I didn't do my dog walk in the middle of the field, that's my joy. Because, that gives me the headspace to think, to prepare myself to be on it for my clients.
Yeah.
But if I was working with the wrong clients and they weren't giving me joy, then that's, again, I've got to go, okay, so my messaging's wrong because I'm getting the wrong clients.
Yeah.
So whatever it is. But as women, we fundamentally need that bit that gives us that happiness pill.
Yeah, no, it can be very lonely, can't it, when you don't like what you're doing? And soul strain, like you said. It's just when you wake up in the morning, you think, oh, again.
Yeah, and sometimes there's issues that do suck for life, like staff issues, and I work with a lady who's really struggling because her staff are constantly phoning in sick, and then she's now in the delivery and she's now back in because she doesn't want to let her clients down, and that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. But then you need to go, okay, so we're getting the wrong staff in, right?
Yeah,
and we're not motivating them enough. So actually now we need to think about how do we motivate them so they want to turn up for work, so that then they, and how do we do that? Because invariably something's going wrong in that chain.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to then go on a hate mission.
So looking ahead, where do you see the biggest growth opportunities for female entrepreneurs over the next couple of years? Where do you see us flourishing? Because they say the future is female. Do you believe?
Yeah. It's a big question. Well, I'd like to see more women in incredibly senior roles in the government, in the orchestrating. I do a bit of, I go to a lot of things with Small Business Britain, and it's all about sponsoring women who started doing side hustles, and then it's now we're keeping the economy open, right? We're keeping it going, and so what I'd like is more opportunities for women to be getting more access to funding so that they can grow the businesses they want, that they get more support around childcare, get more support, and all of the things that enable us to be the people we are, and change the narrative about, we're the ones that have got to do that.
Yeah.
That traditional role. And it is moving and it is changing. But it's slow, it's too slow. So I want more of us to start changing the way that it happens and the way that we, I'm not articulating this right, but, there's so many opportunities for women to have a major impact in our economy. But the infrastructure isn't quite there for us to be able to do it. And that, for me, that's it. That's why most female entrepreneurs are reporting like mental health issues. I think that I've got a stat, I'll have to look it up and I'll send it to you, but it was something like 80% of female entrepreneurs last year saw a counsellor. That's
wow.
That's big, right? But that's because we juggle all the things. So that's what I'd like to see, because I think there's an opportunity for us to have a louder voice.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I think with the studies, there's been studies that have been done that female-led businesses, they can earn more money.
Yeah.
They have longevity of staff because it creates a calmer, more balanced workplace and things like that. So yeah, I definitely hope that the future keeps evolving for women. I've seen changes since I started at 18 till now, over the past, nearly 30 years. What would you say is the biggest threat or mistake that you see female founders making that can hold them back?
Not working on their mind, not working on their thoughts, not listening too much to that voice in their head, and believing that to be true, because that holds them back. The only reason why our business isn't successful is because we hold ourselves back. Until I got, and it's not a done thing, it's a constant peeling of the onion, as it were, but until I got really, really good at listening to that voice in my head and dealing with the stuff that I'd carried along in that rucksack for years, that was when my business went like that. And that's when my confidence has grown. And people will always say I've always been confident. I've always been a bit of a force of energy. I'm, when I'm in the room. But I now have unpicked a lot of those limiting beliefs that I carried around for 50 odd years.
Wow.
You're just unpicking things, going, oh, that thought keeps coming in my head.
Yeah.
What's all that about? And it'll be maybe something, we're born as little blank computers. And then over our first 7 years, we get fed loads of information. So if our parents are overcautious, don't do that, don't touch that, don't do that. We go, oh my God, it's something really scary. I need to be ready. All of those things. And then we layer on our own experiences. And then we just got this whole package of stuff that holds us back.
Yeah.
And until we start listening to those voices and being kinder to ourselves, we will never do the things that we've just said about, making a significant change in our economy, because we hold ourselves back. And that's fundamentally been what's changed my whole self. And now, of course, I now notice people who don't do that. It's not easy though, So it's because there's things in here that in my back of my head that are scary to think about. And so it's quite easy. Some of the stuff, the thought work is quite easy. You're like, okay, I get that. Yeah, I know that's rubbish, whatever. But then there's some deep, dark things, right? That you go, oh, no, I'll just put that back there. Thanks. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. And
it's not until you lean right in to it, and it's scary and it's hard, but that's the reason you're doing it, because it's going to hold you back at the point. So it gets presented to you when you need to sort it. And, and it's also the circle that you keep, networking in the right circles, being in the right masterminds, going to the right events, surrounding yourself with the right circle of people who inspire you is a game changer.
Yeah. You emphasize community energy. So when we collaborate, we create an unstoppable shift in energy. What does community look like to you in a digital world, and how do you help your clients create or maintain a strong community?
Well, I think for me, I've got a Facebook community. For me, I don't really have a digital community other than the communities we've talked about that are that we all are part of. I think that's, for me, the next stage of my business is to develop something that can be like that. I think because I've been quite frightened of technology, That's a thought I've been told many times. I'm rubbish at technology is one of the other thoughts I have. I think I've kind of hid from that because I don't know how to do that. So that's scary. So I think it's something for me. That's something I need to do. But my community is obviously my Instagram followers, my Facebook community followers. Those people that like and share everything that I put out are the community that I've got. But I've got this vision of. I mean, I'm doing a retreat next year where I'm gathering some women, but I've got this vision of like I'm a gatherer of women.
Yeah.
So I love something I like better than gathering women for that energy. So I have a sort of thing that I'd like to gather women and do some day events and stuff like that, but that's all in the pipeline. But my retreat's like a smaller, more like, select thing to dip my toe into the water of it.
So the hardest question that I ask people, when you are on a break, what is your go-to biscuit?
Oh, chocolate digestive.
Chocolate digestive.
Milk chocolate, not plain chocolate, milk. Chocolate digestive. It's good dunking, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's been a pleasure to speak to you, Claire. Thank you very much for your time. And all the links to all of your socials and your website will be in the description below.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here today and watching the interview with the fantastic Claire Bannister, the Unstoppable Growth Coach. If you'd like to learn how you could work with Claire or be part of Claire's world, you will find all the links to her life below. And please tell me in the comments what piece of information or nugget did Claire drop that made you go, I would love to hear it, and so would Claire. I will be here next week with a brand new video, but until then, you stay sparkling. Bye bye.